Hello students, so welcome back to the biology session. So in this video we are going to continue the second part of the lesson, organisms and populations. So in the first part we have discussed up to the influencing on living organisms by abiotic factors. So under that we discussed 4 different types of abiotic factors and how they are influencing the living organisms. So after the interaction, so now we are trying to understand the response of living organisms to those abiotic factors. So in this response to abiotic factors, there are 4 different types of responses shown by the living organisms towards abiotic factors. So what are those 4 types of responses? So the list is here. The first one is regulate. Second one is conform, third one is migrate, and fourth one is suspend. So these are the 4 different types of responses towards abiotic factors by living organisms. So now let us see the first one, regulate. So what is the meaning of regulate? Means how to define the regulate. Here the living organisms will be trying to maintain the constant values. Okay, or constant ratios, anything. Okay, so to maintain constant values, living organisms will be keep on trying. So that is what called as regulate. And the second one is conform. So conform is nothing but adjusting of living organisms according to their surroundings. So here organisms will be trying to adjust with their surroundings. So both are very important. So they may ask you as differentiate, regulate and conform. So regulate in the sense maintaining the constant values, and conform in the sense living organisms adjusting with their surroundings. Now coming to regulate and conform, here 2 aspects are very important. We are going to discuss in case of these living organisms. So one thing is temperature and another thing is osmolarity. Okay. So let me say, if we talk about the temperature, okay, so under temperature there will be 2 divisions like this as thermoregulators and thermoconformers. So coming to this one, thermoregulators. So here I already mentioned organisms which fall under this category will be trying to maintain the constant temperature values. Okay. And coming to this second category, thermoconformers. So we told that conform means adjusting of living organisms according to their surroundings. So to simply understand what are thermoconformers means, so if external temperature is very high, then their body internal temperature also increases. If external temperature is very low, then their internal temperature will be decreased. So like that, conformers will be keep on adjusting. Conformers will be keep on adjusting or making adjustments around their surroundings. So according to their surroundings, they will be keep on changing. Then the next aspect is osmolarity. So now what is osmolarity means? So here ions and water concentrations in an organism. Ions and water concentration in an organism. And again, here also we can see 2 different categories as osmolarity regulators and osmolarity conformers. Osmolarity regulators and osmolarity conformers. So osmolarity regulators. So here these living organisms. So majorly here we will be talking about aquatic organisms. Okay. So here these living organisms which falls under this category, they know very well. So what are the levels of ions and water should remain in their body, and they will be keep on maintaining that constant values. So please remember osmolarity regulators. So here in this category, living organisms which comes under this category, they know what are the values of ions and water should remain within their body. So they will be trying to keep on the same values, same constant values in their body. And coming to this osmolarity conformers, and again I am saying conformers, this will be adjusting, organisms will be adjusting according to their surroundings. So in this case osmolarity conformers, so here also organisms which falls under this category, they will be adjusting to their surroundings. So for example, just like this, so if external conditions, let us say external conditions salt concentrations are high, then what happens? Organisms internal salt concentration increases. If external conditions, that means salt concentrations are low, then organisms inside the body of organism, salt concentrations will decrease. So here conformers will be acting according to their surroundings. So they will be making some adjustments to their surroundings. Okay. Then to understand this regulators and conformers in case of osmolarity, so let us do a small example study. So let us say there are two different water bodies and how regulators will be acting in those two different water bodies. So now let us talk about the osmolarity regulators. So an example study of osmolarity regulators, and we told that regulators will be trying to maintain always the constant values. Okay, so let us say this is a fish. So let's say this is a fish A, okay, and it is a freshwater fish, and all of us know the salinity, the salt concentration will be 5% in fresh waters. Okay, then let us say inside the fish there is 15% of salt concentration, and let us say there is one more fish. So fish B, and this is in marine waters, that is either sea or ocean. So we also know the salinity here, 30 to 35% of salinity present in marine waters like sea or oceans. So now regulators will be trying to maintain the constant values. So here also let us say there is 15%. Okay, so these values of concentrations or these concentration of salts will be maintained constantly by these regulators. So now what they do is, so if we study this example, here inside 15% is there and outside 5% is there, and all of us know in case of osmosis, concentration, high concentrations to low concentration. That means ions will be showing passive diffusion. Okay, so passive diffusion of ions from high concentrations to low concentration, and at the same time passive movement of water. So there will be passive movement of water which is having some salts, and at the same time here the whatever concentration is there, high concentration, so that high concentration will be moved out. That way is passive diffusion of ions, and this water again, the fresh water will be keep on coming inside. So the same level of concentrations will be remaining here. And coming to this another case. So here what happens? Here concentrations, high concentrations condition. Here what happens? Passive diffusion of ions from external conditions to internal conditions, and water also moves in. So in this way they will be trying to adjust, not adjust. So here they will be trying to maintain the similar or constant values all the time. So here what we need to understand exactly is, so the first point, in this condition the urine will be hypotonic, and in this condition the secreted urine will be hypertonic. And the second condition, here they don't drink water because there will be less amounts of salts inside, so they doesn't drink much water. But here they drink lots of water, because here from outside also salts are entering. So to make them diluted, again water will be taken by this fish. Then salts or ions will be utilized by chloride cells which are present in gills. Okay, so salts or ions will be utilized by chloride cells. So if you observe the name chloride, again it is also an ion. So chloride cells will be keep on accepting the salts, and these chloride cells are present in gills. And here salts are pumped. Okay, so here salts are utilized and here salts are pumped out by chloride cells which are present again in gills. So in this manner, these both types of different fishes, which is present in fresh water and which is present in marine water, so they will be trying to maintain the same value which is present in the inside of the body. So regulators, as I told, they will be trying to maintain the constant values. So with these methods, so passive diffusion of ions will be going outside. So ions concentration losing, and again because of passive movement of water, the same constant value can be maintained. And here outside, from outside ions being entering, but those ions will be again diluted by absorbing water. Okay. So then what happens? All the time the same constant values will be remain. So in this way regulators can be understood. Then coming to conformers. So conformers are adjusting organisms to their surroundings. So let us make an example study in case of conformers also. So in case of conformers, so let us say there is a fish in fresh water, and inside the concentration is 15%, and let us say this is one more fish B, which is present in sea or ocean. Okay, so now these conformers are nothing but twisted. They are adjusting organisms to their environment or surroundings. So now what happens? The freshwater salinity is 5%. In case of marine waters, 30 to 35%. So this fish which is living in freshwater, now what it does? It will be keep on reducing or sending out this ions, and let us say it is reached around 6% or 7%, which is almost or equal to the surroundings concentration. Okay, so it is adjusting with its surroundings by releasing, by discreting the ions, pumping out the ions. And now this fish, which is present in seas or oceans, what it does? Now this fish will be keep on accepting the salts. Okay, let us say this 15% now it is increased up to around 28 to 30%. After keep on absorbing the salts from the surroundings. So which is almost all equal to its surroundings. So in this way, conformers will be adjusting with their surroundings. Okay. So these are the simple examples to understand how regulators will be working and how conformers will be working with their surroundings. Now, moving to the third response after regulators and conformers, the third response is migrate. So this is the third response called as migrate, and this response migrate is especially observed in case of birds and fishes. Okay, so this is a temporary to and fro movements of organisms from one place to another place. Okay, migrate is generally studied or observed in case of birds and fishes. So what is migration means or migrate means? So temporary to and fro movement of organisms from one place to another place. So to understand migrate, so let us talk about something called as native. Okay, or native place. So as I told here, organisms will be making temporary movements from one place to another place. So one of the places will be this native place, and this native place means where the organism actually birthplace. Okay, the birthplace of organism here considered as native place. And from this native place, due to some unfavorable conditions in its surroundings, they will be shifting to some other place. So that place, from the native place where they are going to be reached, so that place is called as migration place. So why it is being taking place means due to some unfavorable conditions in their surroundings. Okay. So maybe extreme hot conditions, or maybe extreme cold conditions, or something else. So due to the unfavorable conditions, what happens? These organisms leave their native place and shifting to a new place. So that new place will be called as migration place. And I told this is observed in case of birds and fishes. Here, two more aspects to understand under migration or migrate. So one thing, they may go for search of food. In search of food also, they will be leaving their native place and they will be going for some new place. And the second thing, for reproduction or breeding. Reproduction or breeding. So first case is search of food. So in search of food, some organisms are going to leave their native place and they are going to shift to new place. And the second aspect is to perform reproduction or breeding. Also they will be leaving their native place and going to some new place. They will be migrating. So in this aspect, this reproduction or breeding aspect, so let us say we take examples of Siberian cranes. So these are migrators from Russia. Okay. So Siberian cranes are Russia to India in a park namely called as Keolado National Park. Keolado National Park, very very important. Many times asked CET question. Okay, so Siberian cranes all the way from Russia, they will be traveling to this Keolado National Park, and this Keolado National Park is also mentioned as Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary. Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary located in Rajasthan. Okay, so very very important point. So Keolado National Park will be seeing the visiting of Siberian cranes every year. So from Russia they are migrating to here, especially for reproduction and breeding. Okay, so Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary is also comes under this Keolado National Park. So it is located in Rajasthan, and here the main reason why these cranes are coming all the way from Russia means for reproduction. And here we need to remember an important point. For the effective act of gonads, light is very very important. For the effective act of gonads, light is very very important. So even in the last class when I am discussing about light, there also I mentioned for egg laying process. For egg laying process, birds require, so poultry birds require light for egg laying process. So in the same manner, gonads. So what are gonads means? A type of glands, okay, found in both males and females, which can separate the gametes. Okay, so for the separation of gametes and for the reproduction purpose, these gonads need to be so effective. So they will be effective in the presence of sunlight. But here, how we can apply that situation to this cranes means in Russia the temperatures are very very low. So where the sunlight is very very less. So when sunlight is very very less, then what happens? This act of gonads, so effectiveness of gonads will be very less. So that's why they will be migrating. So these Siberian cranes will be migrating from Russia to all the way they will be coming up to India, where the temperatures and light are very good in conditions. So here they can perform their reproduction or breeding activities. And again, after this native place, when this native place regains its original nature, again these migrators will be going back to their native place. So this is also one more important point. Remember, so after regaining the original nature in native place, all these types of migrators will be going back to their. Okay, so now we are going to talk the next response of abiotic factors, that is suspend. So here we are going to talk about some different aspects in different organisms. Okay, so generally suspend in the meaning, so there will be some natural process. So organisms will be going far away from the natural process, so without performing that natural process. Okay, so or in other manners we can also understand suspend as escaping mechanism. Okay, so escaping mechanism are going away from the natural process. So without performing some natural process, escaping or going away from is by the living organisms is suspend. So in this suspend, if we talk about in the case of microbes like bacteria, fungi and some lower plants like algae, etc., etc. Okay, so here something called as spores. The asexual forms of spores are formed, and these spores during under unfavorable conditions they will not germinate. Okay, so they will not germinate during under unfavorable conditions. But these spores the spores, when they are not germinating under unfavorable conditions, can be understood as suspect. So in another case, in higher plants, we will be talking about something called as vegetative reproduction. So in vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation, there will be some different types of structures. Okay, so those vegetative propagation structures generally called as vegetative propagules. So these vegetative reproduction structures are called as vegetative propagules. So even those vegetative propagules also may undergo this type of suspension without showing arisement of new individual. Okay, and we have also seen something called as seed dormancy. Okay, seed dormancy in case of higher plants. So seed will be becoming inactive due to its unfavorable conditions in its surroundings. So seed dormancy is also a type of suspension. So here what is happening? Naturally seed should get air, water and minerals sufficiently from the soil, and seed should go for germination to giving rise to a new plant. But what is happening? Due to its external conditions, due to its unfavorable external conditions, here seed is becoming a dormant. So dormant or dormancy means inactive. So seed will be remaining inactive due to its unfavorable conditions or unfavorable surroundings. So when favorable situations, when favorable conditions are coming back, then again these type of seeds or these type of spores can germinate and give rise to new individuals. So these are in cases of some lower organisms and some higher plants. So now talking about the animals. So what happens in case of animals, how we can understand the suspend. So in case of animals, there are three different aspects, very important. There are three different aspects in case of animals. So the first one called as hibernation or winter sleep. Hibernation or winter sleep. So this is an exact example of escaping mechanism. So I told suspend in the sense either going away, far away from the natural process or escaping from the natural process. So here it is this process, hibernation, it is an example, very good example for escaping mechanism. So what here is happening? So the best example for this is polar bear. Okay, so hibernation, winter sleep. So to avoid this extreme cold conditions, bear will be going into some hot place under caves like that. Okay, and it will be sleeping for the total winter duration. So that is what called as hibernation or winter sleep. Then the second aspect, estivation, or so it is also called as summer sleep. Estivation or summer sleep, which is observed in case of snails and in some species of fishes. So here, to avoid the extreme hot temperatures, so they will be going into some burrows. Okay, so they will be burrowing the soil and they will be entering into the burrows and they will be remaining there itself during the total summer duration. So that's why we are calling this as summer sleep or estivation, which is found in some snails and fishes. Then the third aspect is called as diapause. The third aspect is called as diapause. Very important. Many times asked 1 mark question and also many times asked in several entrance tests. So now what is this diapause? So for diapause, the best example are zooplankton. Okay. So zooplankton generally lives in ponds and lakes. Okay. So in pond ecosystems or lake ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem very minute microscopic unicellular organisms are understood as zooplankton. So these zooplankton, due to unfavorable conditions in their surroundings, they form some cysts around them and they stop the process of development. Okay, so zooplankton are forming cysts around them due to unfavorable conditions in their surroundings and they stop their development. So pause, stop. Okay, so that is why this process is called as diapause. So which is observed in zooplankton. So zooplankton, due to unfavorable conditions in their surroundings, form some cyst-like structures and they stop their development. This is called as diapause. And this diapause can be broken. That means this cyst can be broken when the surrounding conditions are turning into a favorable ones. So after favorable conditions achievement by the surroundings, then again zooplanktons will be breaking the cyst and they will be continuing their development. So these are all the things about suspect. So under response to abiotic factors, we discussed 4 different responses, that is regulate, conform, migrate, and the 4th one is suspend. Okay. So now after this we will be talking about the next thing, that is adaptations in organisms. So our next topic is adaptations in organisms. So we discussed how abiotic factors are interacting with the living organisms and how living organisms are responding to the abiotic factors. Now after all these interactions, now we are going to learn, we are trying to learn what are all the adaptations or changes. So adaptations in the sense changes or modifications brought by the living organisms in their life cycle to adapt their surroundings. So adaptations in the sense changes or modification. Which type of changes is wanted changes, purposeful changes or modifications brought by living organisms to adapt their surrounding conditions. So again these adaptations here can be of 3 types. So the first one is morphological adaptations and the second one is physiological adaptations and the third one is behavioral adaptations. Now the first one, morphological adaptations. So morphology means which talks about the external appearance of an organism. Morphology talks about external appearance of organism. So maybe the size, shape, structure. Okay. So that is what morphological. So if the organism is bringing some changes in its appearance, okay, in its external appearance, then we can call them as morphological adaptations. Physiological adaptations. So internal structures with some modifications. Okay, maybe some modification in their cells or tissues. Okay, so internal structures changes can be considered as physiological changes or adaptations. And the final one, behavior. So in the behavior of animal towards the surroundings, okay, to adapt its surroundings, they may change their behavior. So that is understood as behavioral adaptations. So here I will be now mentioning some list of adaptations one by one. So let us talk about the first adaptation in case of kangaroo rat. desert. Okay, so it is a very tiny animal. It is found in observed in North American desert. So desert in the sense all of us know very well. The scarcity of water will be very very high. So here this organism can survive years together without drinking water. So the scarcity of water is high, so it has adopted something like this. So it can survive. This kangaroo rat can survive without drinking water for years together. And what happens here is very important. That is oxidation of fats. Okay, the fats which are preserved inside the body of this kangaroo rat will be going for oxidation, and that synthesizes water for the kangaroo rat, and this water will be utilized by the kangaroo rat for its metabolic activities. So that's why this water are considered as metabolic water. Okay, so this is one of the adaptation, very well known adaptation. So kangaroo rat, very tiny animal, observed, found in North American desert. So desert is a place where scarcity of water will be high. So they can survive without drinking water for years together. Then the most important one is oxidation of fats takes place, which synthesizes water in the body of this kangaroo rat, and this water will be used for various metabolic process. That's why this water is considered as metabolic water. Okay. Then the second example, the second adaptations in case of xerophytes. So xerophytes are also plants which grown in arid regions, means where rainfall is very very less or water availability is very very less. So in them, let us talk about the leaves. So leaves are reduced, means very very small in size, and sometimes they are modified into spines. Okay, so sharp pointed spines as they are modified. So the best example here is Opuntia. Okay, so here this adaptation main aim to prevent the loss of water due to transpiration. So all of us know what is transpiration. So removal of water in the form of vapor is called as transpiration. These plants, xerophytes, will be living in the deserted conditions, arid condition, where the amounts of rainfall is very very less. The availability of water will be very very less. So if they doesn't show these type of modifications, transpiration will affect these type of plants. Okay. Then one more modification is sunken stomata. Okay, sunken stomata. So what is this sunken stomata? Let us say, all of us know what is stomata. Small openings present in the epidermis region of leaves. Okay, small openings present in the epidermis region of leaves. But here what happens? We are saying it as a sunken stomata. Sunken means which is into some depression. Okay, so let us say this is a leaf epidermis like this. And the stomata are present like this. Okay, so this is what we can understand. So they are into some depression. So they are not exactly located into the epidermis region. So they are sunken stomata. And these type of sunken stomata are observed So this arrangement is also again to prevent the loss of water, and this type of sunken stomata are also called with another name called as photoactive stomata. Photoactive stomata. So that means photoactive, photo, dark. Okay. So these stomata are generally active during night time and they remain closed during daytime. So remember, photoactive, photo means dark or night. So stomata will be active during the darker times. That means night times. They will be open in night times and remains closed in daytimes. Okay, so this is the one type of modification to avoid the transpiration which will be observed in case of xerophytes. So going on with some more examples in case of this. So we have studied something called as CAM plants. Okay, so CAM plants, crustacean acid metabolism plants. CAM plants means CAM stands for crustacean acid metabolism plants. So these are also generally succulents. That means they preserve the water in the body itself. Okay, so observe the water and preserve the water in the body itself. So such plants are called as succulents. So the best examples of CAM plants or succulents are cactus and pineapple are the best examples. And here also we can see the arrangement of photoactive stomata to prevent the loss of water due to transpiration. Then talking about C4 plants. So in case of C4 plants, there are some more modifications. The first modification is dimorphic chloroplast. Dimorphic chloroplast. Di, two, morphic, appearance. So there will be two different appearances of chloroplast. So one is called as granule and another one is called as egg granule. That means there will be two different types of chloroplast. One chloroplast type will be a granule one and another type of chloroplast is a egg granule one. So granule means granule in the sense chloroplast containing grana. Chloroplast which doesn't contain grana is called as egg granule. Okay, so two different types of chloroplasts are present, and because of these modifications, the trapping of solar energy will be variable. Okay, so that is what a modification in case of C4 plants. And along with this, there is something called as Cran's anatomy, which we studied in C4 plants. Okay, Cran's anatomy. So the arrangement of bundle sheath cells around the vascular bundles. Okay, so the arrangement of bundle sheath cells around the vascular bundles is observed as Cran's anatomy in case of C4 plants. So these are all some good examples which explains about morphological modifications and physiological adaptations. Okay. Then moving to the next step. Third adaptation. So, in third adaptations, we are going to talk about animals lives in colder regions will show smaller extremities. lives in colder regions will show smaller extremities. Okay. So now what are these extremities? So extremities are some structures. Okay, extremities are some structures, or you can also say some extended protrusions. Extended protrusions to outside of the body. Okay, so extremities in the sense some external structures or some external protrusions from the body to outside. So they are called as extremities. And here the third example is that is saying that animals live in colder regions will show smaller. So extremities, the protrusions will be very smaller. The region is simple. These extremities generally they liberate, they send out the heat. Okay, and here animals are living in colder regions, right? So if they have larger extremities, what happens? The heat will be sent out, but that may affect the organism. So that's why here animals which are living in colder regions will be showing smaller extremities. So to understand this more better, let us compare some animals. Okay, so let us say a fox which is present in desert and present in some ice region or colder region. Okay, so in this fox which is living in desert, we will be observing pinna, snout and arms. Pinna, snout and arms. These are generally considered as extremities. Okay, so pinna are some ears. Okay, and snout is about its nose region, and arms are nothing but legs. Okay, so now the fox which is residing in desert will be showing very lengthy pinna, snout and arms, because desert is a place where there will be more temperatures. So here this fox which resides in the desert doesn't need to conserve or preserve the heat. Okay, so there will be lengthy pinna, snout and arms which will be liberating, keep on liberating the heat. And now if we study the fox which is residing in ice region or colder region, they will be showing shorter pinna, shorter snout, shorter arms, because they are residing in ice conditions or cold conditions, and they need to conserve the heat inside of them. Okay, to tolerate the surroundings, this fox which is residing in ice conditions need to conserve the heat. That's why here animals will be living in colder regions will be showing very smaller extremities. So this is one good example to understand. And this is proposed, this thing is proposed by a scientist, and that is known as Allen's rule. Okay, very important. Allen's rule. So many times asked 1 mark question. Define Allen's rule. So what about Allen's rule? What we can write is this statement. Okay. So Allen's rule, and similar one more scientist proposed the similar type of rule called as Burgerman rule. Burgerman rule. So both the rules suggest the same thing. Okay. So this is the third adaptation we are learning. Then moving to the next adaptation, fourth adaptation. Animals which lives in very more, that leads to even decreasing of the activity of enzymes. So initially they are slow. Basically they are slow. If temperature goes on decreasing and the effectiveness of enzymes will be decreasing more, and finally at some point of time they may stop also. Okay. So to avoid this condition, they have got some special arrangement, antifreeze proteins or enzymes. Antifreeze proteins or enzymes. So antifreeze, opposite, anti in the sense opposite, freeze in the sense they are not going to freeze. Okay, so they will be keep on circulating, even whatever may be the surrounding coldest temperature also. These organisms will be containing antifreeze proteins or enzymes. So first suppose if these type of antifreeze proteins or enzymes are absent in these organisms means, then what happens? If there are no proper enzymes, there will be no metabolic activities. Okay. So that is what the fourth adaptation. So this we can take as a good example for physiological adaptation. Now reverse of this in fifth condition. Now in the fifth example of this adaptation, so animals which are going to live in hot conditions, extreme hot conditions, so there the temperatures will be very severe. So in those conditions what happens? The temperatures will be damaging or denaturation of proteins will be taking place. So proteins or enzymes are nothing but both of them are similar, right? So all proteins are nothing but enzymes. So there is a chance of denaturation or damaging of enzymes in this type of extreme hot condition. So a physiological adaptation, that is, in these conditions, animals will be showing something called as thermostable proteins. So thermo, heat, stable, so tolerable to heat. So such type of proteins means even though the extreme hot conditions are present, these type of proteins or these type of enzymes will not get damaged or denatured. So one of the best example for this thermostable proteins is Taq polymerase. Okay, so this Taq polymerase is derived from a archaebacterium, namely Thermus aquaticus, which generally resides in 100 degrees Celsius of extreme temperature. Okay, so here this thermostable proteins, we can understand them as a very good physiological adaptation. So in these type of extreme hot conditions also, proteins or enzymes are not getting damaged and they are stable and they are going to perform their regular activities as usual. Now moving on to the sixth example, and this is somewhat called as Glauber's rule. So this Glauber's rule, let us say what it tells us. Glauber's rule: animals which lives near to equator, so where solar intensity is high or more, and here animals will have their skin in very dark color or fur color. Okay, so this is what Glauber's rule. So animals which will be living nearer to equator, and nearer to equator the solar intensity, the hitting of solar radiations will be very severe, high. Okay, so to prevent this, what is happening? The skin will be in dark color, or the fur color skin will be observed in the animals which are living nearer to this equator regions. So for this, we need to understand something about the melanin pigment, which generally which generally this melanin pigment is responsible for the skin coloration. Okay, so if this melanin pigment present in more amounts, then skin will become more dark in color. If this pigment present in lower amounts, then skin will be appearing as a fair one. Okay, so this melanin pigment advantage is it actually protects us from radiations coming from the solar energy. Okay, so melanin pigment is a protective pigment from the radiations. So that's why if melanin pigment is present more, that is a benefit for the organisms, so that they will be getting protection from the radiations. And also to understand more better about this Glogger's rule, if we observe base of two different regions, so let us say base present in polar region and other normal regions. So here in case of polar regions, base will be in of white color. So the fur will be covered, the covered fur of this polar base will be in white color, because in polar regions there is no much intensity of light. Okay, and in other normal areas we will be observing either black or brown colored fur covering on the base body. Okay, so this is what simply to understand Glogger's rule. So polar intensity, whenever it is high, there will be dark skin color or some variations in fur color. So this is the one more point to remember, and this is the example. Now moving on to seventh example of adaptation. Seventh example of adaptation, that is, here we will be studying about phytoliths, generally called as cold-blooded animals. So the best example is crocodile, and this crocodile here showing some behavioral adaptation. And that behavioral adaptation here called as basking in sun. Okay, so what is this basking in sun? So behavioral adaptation is changing its behaving sense. So we are calling that adaptation here as basking in sun. So what is basking in sun means? Crocodiles will be digging the soil and pouring that soil onto their body surface to escape from the surface heat. So burrowing into the soil to escape from surface heat. So this is what basking in sun performed by crocodile, and this is a best example for behavioral adaptation. So like this, we have covered total 7 different examples, starting from kangaroo rat up to this phytoliths. We covered 7 different examples of morphological adaptations, physiological adaptations, and behavioral adaptations in response to surroundings by the several types of living organisms. So now the next topic is population attributes, will be continued in the next class. Thank you.